This story is inspired by real American highways and locations. Any resemblance to real people or events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised. Route 66 does not feel like an ordinary road at night. It feels older than the towns around it, older than the maps that try to contain it. The highway cuts through the desert like a scar that never healed, stretching endlessly beneath a sky packed with sharp, watching stars. On both sides, the land is dead and silent. Burnt shrubs, cracked emptiness, its headlights carving a narrow tunnel of light through the black desert air. The engine's steady roar is the only sound brave enough to exist out here. The truck looks small against the vastness of the land, like something that does not belong but keeps moving anyway. Narration slows, deepens. Some roads are built to connect places. Some roads are built to escape them. And some roads, remember everyone who ever tried to leave. Route 66 does not feel like an ordinary road at night. It feels older than the towns around it, older than the maps that try to contain it. The highway cuts through the desert like a scar that never healed, stretching endlessly beneath a sky packed with sharp, watching stars. On both sides, the land is dead and silent. Burnt shrubs, cracked earth, abandoned road signs that no longer point anywhere meaningful. There is no traffic, no headlights, just asphalt, darkness, and the low hum of distance. A single semi-truck moves through this emptiness, its headlights carving a narrow tunnel of light through the black desert air. The engine's steady roar is the only sound brave enough to exist out here. The truck looks small against the vastness of the land, like something that does not belong but keeps moving anyway. Some roads are built to connect places. Some roads are built to escape them. And some roads, remember everyone who ever tried to leave. Inside the truck sits Jack Morrison, 38 years old, face worn by years of night driving and sleepless highways. The dashboard lights paint his features in dull yellow, revealing tired eyes that have seen too many dawns from behind a windshield. His hands rest firmly on the steering wheel, confident, practiced. This road is not new to him. Route 66 has been part of his life for nearly 15 years. A low country song plays on the radio, singing about home, about waiting, about someone coming back. Jack reaches over and turns the volume down. He never listens to songs like that for long. Taped to the corner of the windshield is a faded photograph. Jack, younger, smiling. Beside him stands a boy, around 10 years old, grinning wide, unaware of how fragile moments can be. Jack glances at the photo for less than a second, then looks back to the road. Some memories are too heavy to carry while driving. Jack has no home waiting for him anymore. No family calling to ask when he will be back. The road became his routine, his shelter, his excuse. Highways don't ask questions. They just let you keep moving. At exactly 11:43 p.m., the phone mounted near the dashboard begins to vibrate. Jack frowns. There's barely any signal out here. Calls don't usually come through on this stretch. The screen lights up with 2 words. Unknown caller. He hesitates, then answers. At first, there is only static, low, distorted, like wind pushing through a broken radio tower. Jack opens his mouth to speak, but before he can, a voice emerges from the noise. Slow, calm, unnaturally close. Jack slowed down. Jack straightens in his seat. His grip tightens on the steering wheel. Who is this? He asks, eyes locked on the road. The voice continues, ignoring the question. You're on Route 66. Mile marker 213. Jack's chest tightens. His eyes flick to the dashboard. Mile 213. A chill crawls up his spine. This isn't funny, Jack says. You got the wrong guy. The voice lowers, almost whispering. Do not keep driving. This road is not meant for you tonight. The call disconnects. The cabin falls silent except for the engine and Jack's breathing. Jack exhales sharply and shakes his head. Prank call. Has to be. Maybe someone bouncing a signal off a nearby tower. He's heard weirder things out here. The desert plays tricks on people who drive too long. He turns the radio back up and presses the accelerator. But the road feels different now. He notices things he hadn't before. The complete absence of other vehicles, the unnatural stillness of the air, the way his headlights seem to stop short, as if the darkness ahead is swallowing the light. A few miles ahead, something appears on the shoulder of the road. Jack slows down. It's the burned-out skeleton of a car. Blackened metal. Windows gone. The remains look old, but not forgotten, like the desert chose not to bury it. Jack stares as he passes, feeling an unexplainable heaviness settle in his chest. Route 66 has seen thousands of accidents, but some of them never made the news. The phone vibrates again. Same number. Jack answers immediately. If this is some kind of joke. The voice cuts him off. October 11th, 1987, 12:12 a.m. Jack's blood runs cold. How do you know that date? He demands. Silence. Then the voice speaks again, slower now. You survived it. The road didn't forget. Jack's hands begin to shake. That date isn't public. It isn't written anywhere. He hasn't spoken it out loud in decades. The call ends. Jack slams the brakes. The desert goes quiet as Jack steps out of the truck. Wind moves through the sand, whispering against the metal trailer. His heart pounds as fragments of memory break through the walls he built years ago. Flashing red and blue lights. Twisted steel. Screaming metal. Blood smeared across a windshield. Jack grips the side of the truck, breathing hard. Then he sees it, standing in the middle of the road. A figure. Not moving. Not waving. Just watching. Jack's phone vibrates in his hand. The screen lights up. Incoming call. Caller ID, Jack Morrison. Jack stares at his own name, frozen in terror. He answers. The voice on the other end is his. If you drive forward, the voice says calmly, everything that happened back then will happen again. The wind stops. The road goes silent. Jack remains frozen in the middle of Route 66, phone still pressed to his ear even though the call has ended. The screen is dark now, reflecting his own face back at him like a distorted mirror. The desert air feels heavier than before, thick enough to press against his chest. The figure that had been standing ahead on the road is gone, as if it had never existed at all. No footsteps, no sound, just empty asphalt stretching forward into darkness. Jack turns slowly in a full circle, scanning the road, the shoulders, the desert beyond. Nothing moves. No headlights appear in the distance. The silence is so complete it feels staged, artificial, like the world itself has paused to watch what he will do next. He convinces himself that exhaustion is finally catching up to him, that too many sleepless nights have blurred reality into something unreliable. He climbs back into the truck, slams the door shut, and locks it, even though he knows how pointless that is out here. The engine roars back to life. Jack eases the truck forward, eyes locked on the road, jaw clenched. Mile marker signs begin to pass again. 2:14. 2:15, 2:16. Jack exhales slowly, telling himself everything is normal. Roads don't loop. Time doesn't rewind. There are explanations for everything. Then he notices something that makes his stomach drop. A familiar shape appears on the shoulder ahead. The burned-out car. Jack slows down, heart pounding, convinced he must be mistaken. But as the truck rolls closer, the details are unmistakable. The same twisted metal, the same shattered frame, the same angle at which it rests half buried in sand. He passed this exact wreck less than 10 minutes ago. He checks the mile marker beside it. Jack slams the brakes again. That's impossible. He grips the steering wheel, knuckles white, staring at the sign as if it might change if he looks long enough. But it doesn't. The road has folded in on itself, quietly, without warning. The radio crackles to life on its own, the country song cutting out mid-verse. Static fills the cabin, followed by a distorted voice that sounds nothing like a radio host, and nothing like a human either. The voice speaks slowly, dragging each word out, as if testing reality. Drivers traveling westbound on Route 66, be advised, accident ahead. Jack's blood runs cold. The radio continues. Time of incident. October 11th, 1987, 12:12 a.m. Jack reaches for the radio, trying to turn it off, but the knob doesn't respond. The voice grows clearer, sharper. Multiple fatalities reported. One survivor. The radio cuts out. Jack sits in silence, shaking, the engine idling beneath him. The road is no longer just a road. It's a memory replaying itself. Jack pulls off onto the shoulder and shuts down the engine. The sudden quiet makes his ears ring. He leans forward, resting his forehead against the steering wheel, and finally allows the memory to surface fully. In 1987, Jack wasn't a seasoned driver. He was young, reckless, desperate to make deliveries faster to earn more money. That night, Route 66 was crowded with late-night travelers, families heading home, college kids pushing through the night, truckers chasing deadlines. Jack had been speeding, ignoring the fatigue creeping into his bones. He remembers drifting. He remembers headlights swerving toward him. He remembers the sound of metal collapsing like paper. Jack survived because his truck was bigger, heavier. Others weren't as lucky. Cars were crushed. Lives ended in seconds. Official reports called it an unavoidable accident. Weather conditions. Human error. Case closed. But Jack knew the truth. He never stopped. He never checked the wreckage. He never looked back. The phone rings again. Jack doesn't hesitate this time. He already knows who it is. "I know what you did," his own voice says calmly from the other end. "You left them there." Jack's voice cracks as he speaks. "I was scared. I didn't know what to do." "That's the lie you've been telling yourself for 30 years, the voice replies. "You didn't stop because you didn't want to see them." Jack's hands tremble as tears well in his eyes. "What do you want from me?" There's a pause. Long enough to feel intentional. "I want you to finish the drive," the voice finally says. "The same way you did before." The call ends. Jack starts the engine again, heart racing. As the truck moves forward, headlights appear in the distance for the first time all night. Cars. Dozens of them. Old models. Boxy shapes. Headlights too bright, too white. They surround his truck, driving alongside him, passing him, crowding the road. Jack looks closer and realizes something is horribly wrong. The drivers aren't moving. They sit perfectly still, hands frozen on steering wheels, eyes staring straight ahead. Faces pale. Empty. Like mannequins pretending to be alive. One car pulls up beside Jack's window. Inside is a family. Mother, father, 2 children. Unmoving, unblinking. Jack recognizes them. He saw them in the wreckage. Up ahead, the road narrows unnaturally, funneling everything toward a single point. At the center stands the same figure Jack saw earlier. This time, it doesn't disappear. As the truck approaches, the figure becomes clearer. It's him. Not as he is now, but younger, cleaner, unbroken. The Jack from 1987. The younger Jack raises a hand, signaling him to stop. "This is where it happens," the younger version says. "This is where it always happens." Jack slams the brakes, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispers. "I should have stopped. I should have helped." The younger Jack tilts his head. "Then do it this time." The road ahead splits. One lane continues forward into darkness. The other leads toward flashing lights, wreckage, and screams Jack can now hear clearly. The phone vibrates one last time. A text message appears. "You can drive past it again. Or you can stay." Jack looks at the road. At the memories. At the faces of the people who never made it home. He opens the truck door. Jack steps down from the truck, and the moment his boots touch the asphalt, the air around him changes. The desert no longer feels like open space, but like a sealed room, as if the sky itself has lowered to trap him inside this stretch of road. The truck engine dies behind him without being turned off, and the headlights fade, leaving only a dull, unnatural glow spread across the highway. The cars around him remain frozen, suspended in place like insects caught in amber. Their engines make no sound, their tires do not roll, and yet they exist, occupying space without obeying the rules of movement. Jack walks forward, his footsteps echoing too loudly for an open desert, each step sounding like it is bouncing off invisible walls. As he reaches the center of the road, time shifts. The stars above blur, stretching into streaks of light, and the wind begins to move backward, pulling at his clothes instead of pushing against them. The road is no longer leading him forward. It is pulling him back. The smell hits Jack first. Burning rubber, leaking fuel, hot metal scraping against stone. The silence breaks, replaced by distant horns, screeching brakes, and panicked shouting. The highway fills with motion as the frozen cars suddenly come alive, surging forward all at once. Headlights blind him. Engines roar. Tires scream. Jack stumbles backward as the night reconstructs itself around him, piece by piece. He is no longer standing in the present. He is standing inside October 11th, 1987. Cars swerve violently, colliding with one another. A small sedan spins out of control and slams into the guardrail. A van flips, rolling across the asphalt. Jack watches helplessly as the chaos unfolds exactly as it did decades ago, every detail painfully precise. This time, there is no distance between him and the wreck. He is inside it. Jack runs toward the wreckage, his boots slipping on oil-slick asphalt. He hears screams everywhere, voices layered over each other, crying for help, calling names, begging someone to stop. In the twisted remains of a crushed car, a woman reaches out through a shattered window, blood streaming down her arm. Her eyes lock onto Jack's. "Please," she whispers. "Don't leave." Jack freezes. This is the moment he ran from. This is the moment his memory blurred and buried. In the original night, he saw this scene from his side mirror and chose the road instead. Now, the road has brought him back. As Jack moves deeper into the crash site, figures begin to rise from the wreckage. They are not ghosts in the traditional sense. They look solid, real, alive, yet something about them is wrong. Their movements are slow, deliberate, like memories struggling to maintain form. A man with a broken leg drags himself across the road. A teenage boy stares at his hands, confused by the blood covering them. A mother clutches her child, rocking back and forth, whispering promises that will never be fulfilled. They all turn toward Jack. "You saw us," one of them says. "You heard us." Another steps closer. "And you kept driving." Jack collapses to his knees, overwhelmed by the weight of their voices. "I was afraid," he says again, but the words sound weak now, meaningless. Fear does not erase consequences. The younger version of Jack appears beside him, untouched by the wreck, clean and calm. He looks at the scene with clinical detachment, like a judge revisiting evidence. "This road doesn't punish people for accidents," the younger Jack explains. "It punishes people for leaving." Jack looks up at him, eyes red. "So what happens now?" The younger Jack gestures toward the victims. "Now you stay. The way they stayed. The road needs balance." Jack realizes the truth settling into his chest like a stone. The calls, the loop, the repeating mile marker. It was never about warning him. It was about bringing him back to finish what he refused to face. Time slows again. The screams fade, replaced by a deep, unnatural silence. The younger Jack kneels beside him. "You get one choice," he says quietly. "You can take one of their places. Carry the weight they carried. Or you can leave again, and this road will keep calling you back forever." Jack looks around at the victims, at their injuries, at the lives frozen mid-ending. He understands now that the road does not demand justice. It demands acknowledgement. He stands. "I'll stay," Jack says. The moment the words leave his mouth, the road trembles. The younger Jack smiles sadly and steps backward, fading into the night. The wreckage around Jack begins to dissolve, melting into mist. The victims' voices soften, turning into distant echoes that drift away on the desert wind. Jack feels something tear inside his chest. Not pain, but separation. The road pulls at him, unraveling him from the present. His body grows heavier, his movements slower, as if gravity itself is claiming him. The asphalt beneath his feet feels warm, alive. He kneels, placing a hand on the road, and for the first time in 30 years, he does not look away. The desert returns to silence. The crash is gone. The cars are gone. Only Route 66 remains, stretching endlessly beneath the stars. Far in the distance, another truck appears, headlights cutting through the darkness. The driver hums to himself, unaware, tired, chasing a deadline. A phone begins to vibrate. On the screen appears, unknown caller. Jack stands on the shoulder of the road, his figure barely visible, watching the truck approach. He raises the phone to his ear and speaks, his voice steady and calm. "Slow down.